It's Ricky Ricardo from Unrestricted. So it's another reaction video, and I'm gonna add my 2 cents at the end as I always do. The title of the video today is, who's responsible for childhood obesity? Like the video now, subscribe to the channel right now, share the video right now. Let's go.
We don't want this to be a nanny state, surely.
Look, we need help.
Choose.
We need help. We're putting poison in our bodies. We're being fed up by big food
but
companies.
We're putting it in our bodies, that's the point, isn't it?
We do not know the difference. The thing is, you need help. You need governments to protect and legislate, and then after that, you can do the choosing as to what you have.
Do you agree with that, Danny? Should we be being protected?
We're taking stuff that we think is low sugar, we think is fat-free, that we think is good for us, and it is not. We're being lied to.
I completely disagree. I think that...
I do feel that they're using certain words and certain words like sugars. Sugars makes you fat. Fat makes you fat. And I think they're manipulating the words to make it look like it's a threat. So we take these things out where really it's not necessary. What we need to be watching for and looking out for is the amount of energy that goes in and the amount of energy that goes out. And if we put too much in, you make sure we burn it out. Simple. It's not complicated, but they try to overcomplicate things and use certain words and use certain phrases and use certain terms. Nonsense. Energy in, energy out.
There is an abundance of information out there for people now. We know what is healthy.
There is a lot of information out there. I agree. I totally agree with what she says.
Know which foods contain bad sugars and bad fats and which food...
I think they're making food to be like a villain. Food isn't the villain. I think the villain more is ignorance. What we don't know is what's killing us. What we don't know is making us overweight. What we don't know is harming us. And what we seem to not understand is energy in versus energy out.
Foods make us fat.
It is confusing sometimes, though, because this is what I
it
think
can
the
be
labelling
confusing
needs
to
be
an
better.
extent, yes, but not to the extent that we are going to become morbidly obese by being misinformed. I mean, come on.
Well, let's talk about your daughter, Liz, Holly, because that's why you're in today.
Not necessarily misinformed. I would say they're more withholding the truth. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not really letting us know exactly what we should be doing. They're kind of withholding the truth rather than misinforming us.
Okay, so when Holly was 9 years old, she weighed 8 stone.
Yes, she
which was
did.
Far too big for
It
her,
was,
for
yes.
her age. How did that happen?
I personally believe, and the doctor believed, that it was down to emotional eating. She was bullied for her weight, but yet she was eating her weight, and although I tried to monitor...
You know, that's quite common, to be upset about being a certain size, a certain weight, looking a certain way, but then if your vice is food, that's the only way you can, that's your only release, that's your only outlet to go to what makes you feel better, what makes you feel good. But the problem is that your go-to is what is putting you in a situation. It's literally a vicious cycle. It's a negative, it's very counterproductive, but it's what happens when you have an eating disorder. It is a form of self-harm, and it is definitely a mental health issue.
Because I'm obese myself, so the last thing you want as an obese parent is for your child to suffer. She started stealing food, bites of cheese, fruit. It wasn't just fast food or bad food. It was,
so she was
all
overeating
food.
Generally.
She was overeating.
I mean, you've said there you're obese yourself, your words.
Yeah.
You must have been then very aware of thinking, I don't want my daughter to be like this, but you are the parent, you provide the food that's in the house. She's only 9 years old.
I mean, come on, realistically speaking, she wasn't raiding the carrot cupboard to get to that weight, was she? I mean, why are you having those kinds of foods in the house? It is not the government's responsibility to fill your fridge.
No, it's not, but my daughter saw me go from 32 stone to 22 stone.
Good.
Right,
And she saw me go to Slimming
That's
World.
fantastic, but it's still not the government's responsibility. It is your responsibility as a parent to ensure that your child is of a healthy weight and not put those foods in your house.
And this is correct. And as I will go back to what I was
Again, food isn't the villain. Lack of education is the villain, and that's that.
saying, I was doing Slimming World. So Slimming World, you have a range of food you can eat. So I wanted to show my daughter a better way of living. I went to the GP and I said, there's a problem here. It isn't just unhealthy food she's eating, it's food and it's at the wrong times. When she goes out, I don't know what she's eating. The school meals wasn't very healthy, let me just say. Can you please help me? And the doctor said, well, we don't have funding for this, or we don't know where to send her.
Did they give you any advice as to what you could maybe do at home?
Funding for what? I'm not too sure what she means by funding. What could she mean funding for? yeah, I can't really think of what government or what she would want the government to do or where she would want them to go. I'm not too sure.
To help her.
I could take her to Slimming World when she was old enough with me and see what they do. Keep a food diary.
How old is she?
She's 11 now. Can I just say, we did see the dietitian. I did take her to the dietitian. The dietitian discharged her after seeing her a second time, saying she would go into her BMI.
When you talk
Right,
to
just
her,
wait a minute. Right, we've got a situation here that you've got a young girl either aping, mimicking, or having problems of her own as to what she's eating. What advice, the doctor didn't give her advice, what advice would you give here to Liz?
Firstly, I would say that it's really commendable that you've lost that amount of weight and that you are aware of the fact that your child has issues with food. But I do think you have to be accepting of the fact that perhaps you've not helped there having weight issues yourself. And statistically, children with one obese parent have a 50% chance of being obese. Two obese parents, they have an 80% chance. So what does that tell us? Now, we are talking about obesity here, not just children.
You know, that does sound right. That does sound, you know, it sounds like it makes sense, to be fair. The percentages: one obese parent, 50% chance; two obese parent, 80% chance that your child will be obese. And that does sound about right because, you know, as I said in the previous video, it's one of them monkey see, monkey do situations. If the parents have bad habits in regards to nutrition, it's a high percentage that the children will adopt that as well.
Children that are slightly chubby. So they are overeating to an extreme.
Well, it did get to the extreme that Holly had to go to a fit camp, didn't she?
It did.
And that did help her.
Yeah, I fought for that because no one else would help me, and I went to a charity and the charity had to help me. Bear in mind, I have two other children who are at their BMI, my partner. So let's just say
I hate BMI, just I was going to throw that in. I don't, yeah.
food I was cooking was for everybody.
Yeah.
So she went to this camp and they gave her a whole package, not just the fitness package, not just, but they gave her an educating package, the traffic light system. I agree with you there, there's a lot of education there.
Well, on the subject of education, people are saying that this is a completely missed opportunity in terms of legislation and direction of policy from the government. What do you think needs to be done from here on in? I want to ask you both. What needs to be done so this opportunity, we make the most of what we can here, the government does?
I would say that a lot of people tend to argue it is cheaper to eat junk food. That's absolutely not true. But if we are to impose a...
Yeah, it's not true. It's absolutely not true. It's not cheaper. No, it's definitely not cheaper. You can definitely eat really, really well, really, really good, really, really healthy on a budget. So yeah, that's a...
sugar tax on these kinds of foods and drinks, that would definitely help, and we can then put that money towards...
Sugar tax is a sugar scam. The government win either way. Because think of it, if we're talking about people that have eating disorders, right, it doesn't matter, it's almost like an addiction. They're gonna go and get that food regardless of, but any means necessary, it doesn't matter how much it costs. But if we're talking about just as using sugar tax as a deterrent, how much are we talking about? If we're not talking about £10 for a can of Coke, then there's no point. It's not gonna be enough of a deterrent. What is it gonna be, 20 pence, 30 pence here, 50 pence? It's not going to be enough of a deterrent to really cause anything. I can't see no one saying, I'm not going to have that particular item that I like, that I indulge in, that makes me feel better about myself because I have an eating disorder. Because I have an eating disorder, I'm not going to pay that much for it. I don't see that's going to work. All that's going to happen is the government gets more money from it. So I can't see really how the sugar tax is really going to help anyone.
Funding things like sports clubs and exercise for children.
Okay, if they did say that they was going to put it towards some form of funding for some kind of something like that, then I guess then that's fine. But I can't see that happening.
In schools.
It's got to be education as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think children should be overly aware of what they're eating.
Education is the key. Applied education is even more of a key.
They're overthinking it here, and that's making the problem worse. Children shouldn't be dieting.
Right, we're out
Yeah,
of
I
time.
agree.
Last word to you, Liz.
I don't think so. I think we do need to educate our children. We need...
I'm torn because children shouldn't be overthinking what they're eating. Children shouldn't really be on an actual diet, but at the same time, they need to be aware of what they're doing. It's like saying children shouldn't be driving, but they need to be aware of cars. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if that's a bad example, but it's like, I don't want them to, they shouldn't be overthinking and really, you know, going into, I'm counting calories and macros. I don't think children should count calories and macros. I do feel that they should be aware, understand the consequences on what they, you know, eat or don't eat, or how they move or don't move, you know. I do believe in that.
To be open and honest with them and, you know, let school teach what they need to teach and bring some more stuff out into the community and charities and groups and services that work.
So more support.
Yeah.
Are you doing all you can do?
I will, and I will carry on.
I honestly believe that we do need to educate. We should educate. Definitely, they need to know exactly what they're doing to themselves. They need at least need the understanding on just so when they do eat what they eat, or when they do, I feel like we should educate children on food so they understand the potential outcomes, so they can make a decision for themselves. Teach them the good habits from young. Water, balance. You can have that, but not every day. Do you know what I mean? Like, rather than making it be a diet, we don't want them counting macros and counting calories. We don't need that. We don't need that. Not for our children, unless they're athletes or something like that. But even then, children shouldn't be worrying about that kind of stuff. They shouldn't really be worrying about that type of stuff. So yeah, I do believe there's a lot of information out there, and the information is easily accessible for the people that want to access that type of thing. I don't believe that our children should be dieting. I don't believe in sugar tax. I think that's a sugar scam. I do feel there should be more fitness clubs and fitness schemes, more incentive to move, more incentives to just get out there and to burn energy. It's not even called exercise, just burn energy. Like, I do feel that there needs to be more of an incentive, more of a reason, more activities, more stuff to entice these kids to move more. I do believe in that. But solely, parents need to take responsibility. Parents need to take responsibility for their child's weight, size, health. They do, because let's keep it 100%. Parents control what goes on the kid's plate, and they control the amount. And if the kid wants more, they need to be firm and say, listen, you ain't getting more, or give them an alternative to the thing that they want, especially if they haven't really moved. If they're not an active child, then they have no right in indulging in certain things, because of the simple fact that we know the outcome of what's going to happen, childhood obesity, and that's something that we want to deter, we want to stay away from, we want to stay clear from. We don't want that, we don't need that. Finish the video off here, guys. If you like the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and peace.